This is the greatest day of my life! Ice Bear will need a bigger bucket.
The brothers smiled with amazement, believing they had discovered the greatest treasure in the entire forest. But before Rowan could climb the tree, something unexpected caught Nico's attention. Near the roots sat a tiny bear cub named Elio. His eyes were filled with tears, and his small paws trembled as he tried to protect the ancient tree. The brothers slowly approached, realizing that Elio wasn't guarding the honey from greedy visitors. He was protecting something much more precious. The magical honey tree was slowly dying. Many years earlier, every animal in the forest had cared for the tree together. They watered its roots, protected its flowers, and shared its honey fairly with everyone. But over time, selfishness had replaced kindness. Animals had begun taking more honey than they needed while forgetting to care for the tree that gave them everything. Day by day, the magical tree lost its strength. Now only Elio remained. He had stayed beside the tree for weeks, hoping someone would help save it before it was too late. The brothers looked around carefully. They finally noticed that many branches were dry, flowers had stopped blooming, and several honeycombs had become empty. Even the bees seemed tired. Without saying a word, the brothers knew exactly what they had to do. Rowan stopped thinking about tasting the delicious honey and instead searched the forest for clean water. Coda carefully planted colorful flowers around the tree to attract more bees back to their home. Nico gently cleaned the roots, removing stones and broken branches that had blocked fresh water from reaching the ancient tree. The work was far harder than they expected. Heavy rocks covered the underground springs. Strong winds arrived during the afternoon, scattering the new flowers across the clearing. Dark clouds covered the bright sky, and powerful rainstorms threatened to wash away everything they had repaired. Still, the brothers refused to give up. They worked from sunrise until sunset. Their paws became sore, their fur was covered with mud, and exhaustion filled every part of their bodies. Even little Elio joined them, carrying tiny buckets of water despite being much smaller than everyone else. Slowly, something wonderful began to happen. The forest animals who had once ignored the tree started watching from a distance. At first they only observed. Then one rabbit quietly carried fresh flowers. A family of deer brought clean water from the river. Squirrels gathered seeds. Colorful birds scattered pollen across the branches. Even old turtles slowly transported rich soil toward the roots. One act of kindness inspired another. The entire forest was changing. Days passed. The dry branches slowly turned green again. Tiny flowers appeared. The bees returned in greater numbers than ever before. Golden honey began flowing once again from the giant honeycombs, brighter than anyone remembered. Then, just before sunrise on the seventh day, something extraordinary happened. The magical honey tree suddenly burst into dazzling golden light that illuminated every corner of the forest. Thousands of glowing leaves floated gently through the air like sparkling stars. Warm honey-colored light surrounded every animal present, filling their hearts with peace, hope, and gratitude. No one spoke. Everyone simply stood together, realizing they had witnessed a miracle created not by magic alone, but by teamwork, compassion, and selflessness. As the light slowly faded, fresh fruit appeared on nearby trees, flowers bloomed across the valley, streams became crystal clear again, and hungry animals found enough food for everyone. The forest itself had rewarded those who chose kindness over greed. Little Elio smiled for the first time in many weeks. He no longer had to protect the tree alone. He had an entire family now. The three brothers understood that the greatest treasure had never been the golden honey. The real treasure was discovering that even the smallest act of kindness could inspire hundreds of others to do the same. True happiness came not from taking everything for yourself but from sharing blessings so everyone could smile together. Years later, young animals would gather beneath the magical honey tree to hear the story of the three brothers who saved the forest. Parents reminded their children that courage isn't always about being the strongest. Sometimes courage means choosing kindness when selfishness seems easier. Sometimes heroes don't wear crowns or carry swords. Sometimes heroes simply decide to help when nobody else will. The magical honey tree continued blooming every season because every animal now understood that nature gives endlessly only when people care for it together. Every drop of honey became a reminder that love grows stronger when